Trust me when I say this, Broncos country, you are going to love today's live show. Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. My name is Moose, a very fired up Moose, because I've got a lot of things to say based off of what is going on at Mile High this week. I feel like part of us have been duped. I feel like part of us have been bamboozled, hoodwinked, smeckledorfed. That's not even a word. It's not even a word, producer Alper. But you know what? We are here to find the solution for the Denver Broncos. Let's start with this rather than jumping into your question of our Denver Broncos live show. Let's start with the injuries. Evan Ingram, second straight day, no practice. Back injury. Dre Greenlaw hasn't practiced since July 31st. Sean Payton said he's coming along swimmingly. Now he's saying the injury's a little bit more nebulous. There's a lot going on right now. And Justin Stranad, he's got a little bit of a foot injury, but I think that's more precautionary because they need him to play against the Los Angeles Chargers. So now I'll get into my question. And the question is this: how concerned are you about the Denver Broncos injuries? Scale of 1 to 10 for me. Right now, I'm like a 7.5 or an 8. I keep being told that everything's going to be fine, and everything is not fine at the moment. We need every player to be available for these bigger games. We have got the Chargers in week 3, and then we have got the Eagles in week 5, and then the schedule just gets harder from there. Right? You've got the Houston Texans that you got to play. You still have to play the Chiefs twice. You've got the Raiders twice. Like the Packers you play in week 15. We need our players to be healthy. And I get it. It's week 3. I understand. However, you still need to get into playing shape. So you've got guys like Drew Sanders who are going to be coming back week 5. He needs to get into playing shape. You got Dre Greenlaw who hasn't played. He's got to get into playing shape. So there's a lot of things going on right now with this Denver Broncos defense and all of these injuries that they've accumulated that they need to get under control. Why? Because the schedule, the division, everything gets tougher and tougher and tougher. That's the truth. So here we go. I am going to give some shout-outs here. Everybody start letting me know how they feel about the injuries. If you are just joining us, welcome in. Hit that thumbs up icon. Let's grow this stream. Get more Broncos fans in here right now. Mr. Flintstone, what up, dude? He says 8. After the defense breakdown against the Colts, it's clear where we need help. I could not agree more. It was a horrible performance against the Indianapolis Colts, but I think you'll find that in the breakdown that I've got, the preview of Broncos versus Colts, you will find that the defense is going to be fine in specific areas. Linebacker is still a major question mark, and you'll also find that later on in today's show, I'm going to give you some linebacker free agents and linebacker trade targets that we could bring into Mile High to solidify that room, because God knows we need it right now. Then I'm going to get into some trade candidates at the very end of today's episode. So I've got the preview, I've got linebacker replacements, I've got Denver Broncos trade candidates before the trade deadline. We got a lot of stuff. Edmundo says, Greenlaw edition is now one of a kind, but kind of sus, says Edmundo. Well, listen, the more and more that we hear about Dre Greenlaw's injury, and the more and more we're told, well, it's precautionary, and then we've got to be precautious, and then we've got to be prepared, and then it's coming along nicely, but now it's nebulous. Like, where is the truth? That's what we have to figure out. Where is the truth when it comes to the Dre Greenlaw injury? Now, before we get into what we've got coming up on today's show, and by the way, Sean Payton did decline to comment on Evan Ingram's status yesterday when he was at practice. We are going to be giving away something very, very cool here on the show. Mr. Producer Alper, if you want to be able to bring up that helmet that you just had, there it is. So we gave away this mini helmet last week. Shout out to Boss Man Jay. He won that. Won that. That's going to be on the way to him in the next 24 to 48 hours. we're going to give away a big one. A big one here on the Broncos Breakdown. So, on today's show, I thought I would kick off the major helmet raffle with something cool. So, what we're going to do is we're going to get that big Denver Broncos snow cap throwback helmet. Throwback logo. It's going to be the entire, replica of the helmet. It's going to look sweet. We're going to deck it out with a bunch of decal as well. So they're going to get a sticker on that helmet. And we're going to fill it up the entire, side of the helmet. Each side is going to get a sticker. We're going to fill up the helmet, and once it's filled, we're going to auction that off to a Broncos fan at the end of the football season.
Sounds like a good deal.
That is a great deal. Here's what I want to let you know. This is the first one of its kind that we're giving away on the Broncos Breakdown. So, to get your name on the helmet on a sticker costs only $20. If you send in $20, you get yourself a sticker on the helmet. Here's the thing. When the helmet comes in, I will make sure that the people on today's show that send in their $20 are the first ones on it. They're going to get a shout out. They're going to get their first names on the sticker. Sticker's about that big. You get your initials, you get your YouTube name, and you could be the one that wins that. So you could be the only Denver Broncos fan from the Broncos Breakdown to have this throwback snow cap helmet with all different Broncos fan stickers on there. It looks great on a mantle. It looks great in your man cave, and it's a really, really cool piece to have if you're a Denver Broncos fan. So $20 is all it takes to get your sticker and your name on that helmet. Really early, it's going to be a lot of fun. Here's some Twitter shout-outs that I said that I would give if you followed me on Twitter yesterday. I'm a man of my word. Shout-out to Emundo. Shout-out to Ryan. Shout-out to Kevin Heinsroth. Shout-out to ZSN. And shout-out to Magdalena, who all followed me on Twitter yesterday. They followed the directions. They get a shout-out as well. So shout-out to y'all for being real Broncos fans and following me on Twitter. Josh, what's up, dude? Bonix Prods. I've been subbed since 2021. Hell yeah, dude. Yes, you have. Danny, what's up, dude? He says, what's up, Moose? You're a legend. Appreciate you, Danny. Thanks for joining the show. What's up, Pops? I'm going to bring in producer Alper on the show, who is also our Patriots host. So we're going to give a quick boo to Alper. Boo! Boo! Get the boos going in the chat. I can't believe they stuck me with you. No, I don't want to talk about Drake May. You're on the Broncos Breakdown, not Patriots today. I don't want to
talk about how he's better than Bo Nix.
No, stop it. Get out. You know what? Your microphone might get shut off. It might get shut off.
I control it.
We don't want to hear about your quarterback. We only have one quarterback on this show right here, and that's Bo Nix. Get those boos going. Boo Alper. Boo Alper.
Joshua Kirby, spam it. Let me hear it. Let me hear it. You're lucky you don't play the Broncos, or the Broncos don't play the Patriots.
Yeah, you're right. We kick your ass. Based off of what you guys you almost lost to the Dolphins. I don't want to hear a single thing about how you guys are better. The Dolphins suck.
And so do the Colts.
Well, no, they don't.
Yes, they do.
When you guys play the Colts, good luck.
We do not play the Colts.
Hey, listen, we got 54 people that are rocking with us in the building right now. We have to get to at least 27 likes before we start our live show. And we're going to start, of course, with our Broncos versus Chargers preview, the final preview. So I already put out a mini preview. Here's the second preview based off of what the Chargers do well. Oh! We got a DB4L Broncos Unchained. Bang! Let's go, boss man. What up? What up, boss man Jay? Coming in with a massive $100 super chat. That is unbelievable. He goes, Moose, what's up? Everybody check out Broncos Unchained. That's his podcast. Does a great job. Stuff you've never seen before. He's got AI Broncos superheroes that he's talking about. He gives his own thoughts and analysis around the Denver Broncos. He and I actually went back and forth a little bit. And shout out to Boss Man Jay. I know he's watching right now because he just sent that in. He is going to get some serious credit for a player that he turned me on to. When we're talking about some linebacker replacements,
Okay.
I'm going to give you a sneak peek. Have you ever heard of the name of Isaiah Simmons?
Isaiah Simmons, I'll remember it.
Former 8th overall pick in the 2020 draft by the Arizona Cardinals. He texted me last night, and he said, the name Isaiah Simmons for the Denver Broncos. Let it marinate. Let it resonate. And I said, you know what? I remember Isaiah Simmons. He's bounced around the league, just got released by the Green Bay Packers, so I did my homework. I believe he can be an excellent addition to this Denver Broncos linebacker room, and he's really, really cheap.
Replace the injured
No
Greenlaw?
replacement, no replacement, just a signing. Put him on the practice squad,
Okay.
and then see if you need to elevate him. But shout out to Boss Man Jay, because he was the one that turned me on to him. I got to give credit where credit is due. I will never, ever be the one that does not or takes credit for not my original idea. He
100%.
came up with it, but I did the homework. I did the research. Shout out Boss Man Jay. Check out his podcast called Broncos Unchained. Legend. Absolute legend. 4 likes away from getting started. Remember, Bossman's already on that means he gets in on the sticker. He gets his first. He's the first sticker on the helmet. He's the first sticker on the helmet. Show the helmet one more time, producer Alper. If your Patriots mind can handle that.
Hey, it's been a long time since 2015.
Look at that. So this is going to be a big helmet. So Bossman won the small one. He could be the one that wins the big one as well. It's going to look just like this, but it's going to be the actual helmet size. We're going to fill it up, make it look good. All it costs is $20 to get your name on the sticker.
Now, can he wear it?
You can wear whatever you want, yeah.
But I've seen some of them. Like, we have a Patriots helmet that's in the closet,
Yep.
and the under is like.
No, it's a real helmet. Yeah, no, it's a real helmet. You can actually put it on and wear it. This is the first one that we're giving away on the channel. Pop says, can we cut Dre Greenlaw? We're not going that far yet.
Isaac Brown says, Colts have the second highest scoring defense this season. It's week 2.
Scoring offense.
Same, yeah, scoring offense.
Yes, I knew what you meant. Sorry.
But,
Yeah, but
the
you're right.
Saints had the highest scoring offense in week 2 last year.
I know that you have that comparison, but I have to remind you that their offense, they've got good pieces. Whereas last year, the Saints, Derek Carr, come on.
Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones looks great.
Derek Carr looked great.
No.
They blew out the Cowboys. Kamara. You know what? I'll
Keanu says, how much to buy the whole thing? I don't think you want the answer to that question.
I don't know if you want that.
I don't know if I have the answer to that question. $20 to get your name on it, and then we'll raffle it off. Everybody that gets on the sticker is into the raffle, by the way. I think that should be important to know. Like if you are on the helmet, you're automatically in contention to win the helmet. I didn't think I'd have to say that, but I guess I do. All right, we're at 27 likes. Shout out Boss Man Jay. $20 to get on the helmet. The stickers they're over on my desk. So when the helmet comes in, Broncos Unchained is the first one going on there. I'll make sure to do it live. Every time we put a sticker on, we'll have to be live. We'll do it live. All right. We're at 15 minutes. Let's get into our Broncos versus Chargers final preview. Yeah, by the way, Bossman brings up a really good point. How much money would it cost the Broncos to cut Dre Greenlaw? Let's check. I'll tell you right now how much it would cost to cut him. If you cut Dre Greenlaw,
What is the dead cap?
You would lose $7 million.
And what is the Broncos cap at?
Not very high. Cap space right now, I think the Broncos are 12. Yeah, 14. 14 million.
Ooh,
14 million
tough.
in cap for the Broncos. So you've only got you've got 14. You'd cut into 7 of that. So
You don't want to do that.
no. You don't want to do that. You'd lose $7 million. And that's $7 million that if you wanted to go out and sign a guy like Isaiah Simmons, you don't have. All right. Let's do this. Let's get into our Chargers versus Broncos preview. Final preview before week 3, and I'm going to tell you why the Denver Broncos have something to prove and can absolutely make a statement against one of their division rivals. Broncos versus Chargers, the very first divisional matchup for the Denver Broncos in 2025. Welcome in Broncos country to the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. My name is Moose, and I'm going to tell you why the Denver Broncos have the ability to make a statement and have a massive opportunity to move ahead in the AFC standings, or AFC West standings, after this next game against the Chargers. I think it's interesting to note that the Chargers stand atop right now of the AFC West at 2-0, followed by the Broncos and the Raiders tied for second, while the Chiefs round out the bottom of the barrel at 0-2. Like I said, the Broncos can absolutely make a statement against the Chargers. As of right now, based off of what we've seen, and recency bias is definitely a thing, the Chargers could be viewed by some as having the upper hand. I said in a video earlier this week that the Broncos actually have the advantage against the Chargers based off of multitude of areas. However, if you're just going by momentum and the quality of wins that the Chargers have, then I could absolutely see where the argument is made that the Chargers have the upper hand. So before I tell you why the Broncos can make this massive statement, let's get those victory vibes going. I want you to smash that thumbs up icon. Why? Because you don't want to be the guy that jinxes it. You don't want to be the guy that doesn't hit the thumbs up button because you think the Chargers will win the game. Because if you don't hit it and they end up winning, 2 + 2 definitely equals 4. Let's look at the Chargers from a team perspective. Offensively speaking, they're pretty good. Like really good. Yards per game, 355.5. NFL rank 9th. Passing yards per game, 270. NFL rank 4th. And the list goes on and on. Believe it or not, the one area that they struggle in is their rushing yards per game. Their rushing offense is not great. But when it comes to their points per game, they're 12th. So this is an offense that can put points on the board. And the offense, of course, is led by their best player. And it's not particularly close. It's their quarterback, Justin Herbert. Why Justin Herbert? Well, listen, there's a lot of guys with talent in this league. He's clearly a top 10 QB when it comes to talent alone. He's already started off this 2025 season looking spectacular. 72% completion percentage, 560 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Now, if you can keep Justin Herbert to less than 225 yards, you're going to win this game. You will. If you eliminate the big plays from Justin Herbert, you can absolutely win this game. I truly and sincerely believe that. Why? Because the opposite is true for the Chargers running backs. They don't have a very strong run game. So you have a star quarterback, but no stars right now in the backfield. Najee Harris and Omari Hampton are your 1-2 punch. Well, if you watched any of the videos that I put out earlier this week, I told you that Omari Hampton right now doesn't look good at all, and Najee Harris might as well be a pirate. He's only got one eye. So if I'm looking at this from a game planning perspective, if I'm Vance Joseph, I am absolutely trying to make sure that I put the ball in the hands of Omarion Hampton as much as possible. He's only averaging 3.1 yards per carry. This is not a dynamic run game. And I think a lot of that is predicated and based off of this offensive line that might have some talent but has not had a lot of continuity playing together. Why? They lost Rashawn Slater, their left tackle. So their right tackle, Joe Alt, slides all the way over to left tackle. And then you have to put Mekhi Becton, who was on the Philadelphia Eagles last year. He slides into right guard. Trey Pipkins, who is the backup to Rashawn Slater, he actually moves over to right tackle. So you see now where all of this comes into play here for the Chargers offensive line. Alt is clearly their best offensive lineman. But outside of that, it's a bunch of what-ifs at this point. So how do you win this football game from a defensive side? You force the Chargers to run the ball. We just explained to you how you make Justin Herbert lose. I'll explain here coming up in a second why. If you rush 4 and drop 7 in coverage, you can force Justin Herbert into a little bit more of he's got to go through his progressions, right? It's not a one-read quarterback. If you force him to go through his progressions and you put pressure on him, flush him outside of the pocket, you can do damage. But it starts by making them run the ball. It starts by rushing 4, dropping 7 back into coverage. And that also bleeds into point number 3. You got to lay off the blitz. I put out in a video just a couple of days ago that the Broncos are the number 1 blitz rate team in the NFL on defense. Vance Joseph is hyper aggressive. He loves to throw the blitz. The problem with that is you threw the blitz a lot against Daniel Jones in week 2, and he sliced and diced you. So I can guarantee you that Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert are going to be prepping for the blitz. So don't do that. And finally, you got to force Justin to make his mistakes. Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, Zach Allen, Jonah Ellis, John Franklin Myers. Those 5 are going to be directly responsible for making Justin Herbert's life a living hell. Design blitzes, yes. A schemed blitz all the time? No. You've got to pick and choose your times to put pressure on him, flush him outside of the pocket, and make him throw interceptions. Because when he throws 3 touchdowns, no picks, I think history and statistics have proven he will absolutely get the W if he is left with a very clean stat line. So will the Broncos defense look better versus the Chargers? I'm talking about holistically. If we go back to last week against the Indianapolis Colts, will the Broncos look better than that? I have to assume the answer is yes. If you're watching during our live show, put it down in the live chat if you think yes or if you think no. But if you're watching this during your regularly scheduled programming, let me know in the comment section down below. Before we get into the offensive game plan and how the Broncos can dominate from an offensive perspective, I have to tell you about my friends over at Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, you can actually get paid to be right. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. It's very simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. What is the best way to win cash this football season? Duh, it's Prize Picks. Join millions of users and sign up today. How does it work? Here is a little lineup that I cooked up for you. I comboed professional baseball with some pro football for you. Matt Olson on the more on the fantasy hitting score, followed by James Cook. Michael Penix on the more as well. And then my max discount play, Patrick Mahomes. I know we don't like to talk about him, but it's half a passing yard. It's half a passing yard. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. How does the offense dominate this game? I think it's pretty simple. This Chargers defense is pretty good. And I'm going to bring up some statistics for you. However, this comes down to one player for the Broncos. But let's start with the Chargers defense. Khalil Mack, their number one pass rusher, is in a sling. Put on short-term IR, I believe it was yesterday. So you don't have to worry about him. That's good news. While I will say this, you never want to root for a player's injury, it does give the Broncos a significant advantage not going up against the best pass rusher for the LA Chargers. So we can all agree on that. It's advantageous for Mile High. However, if we're looking at a statistics perspective for the Chargers defense, they are pretty good. Yards allowed per game, 7th in the NFL. Rushing yards allowed per game, 8th. Points allowed per game, only 15. That's 3rd right now in the NFL. But then there's one specific area, passing yards allowed per game. Just about 200, which right now is dead nuts even in the NFL. Translation, Bo Nix has to be the A factor in this game. The secondary is gettable. I wouldn't say that it's elite. I wouldn't say that it's bad. But Bo Nix played very well against the Indianapolis Colts. I need more of the same from what he showed against them in week 2. And if you're looking at this from a offensive line perspective, because you're probably wondering, well, if it's Bo Nix that has to be great, it starts with the hog mollies up front. And I saw a bunch of fans already in the live chat that were sitting there telling me, well, this Broncos offensive line isn't very good. I disagree. Here's a chart that shows pass protection ratings. Notice who is number 1 right now in the NFL. The Denver Broncos, meaning their pass protection is the best. I will give you this. The run protection, the run blocking scheme in the first week against the Titans wasn't nearly as good as it should have been. But they didn't let up an entire sack against the Indianapolis Colts. The Broncos have a very good offensive line. I'm tired of hearing that they don't. Every offensive line is going to go through their own growing pains, I guess you could call it. And specifically speaking, the Broncos offensive line didn't have that much time in the preseason. So that first half against the Titans was clearly their get-right game. Now, they look great. So I'm very, very impressed and leaning on this offensive line in order to give Bo plenty of time to carve up the Chargers secondary. So from an offensive perspective, how do you win this football game? Number 1, probably one of the most important ones, control the clock. That means long, sustained, monotonous drives. It can be boring. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it being boring for now. But I don't need the Broncos to go out and score 7 points and only take 2.5 minutes off the clock by taking massive shots over and over and over again. If you put 7 points on the board, make sure that that drive lasts 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes. Now, I did say that I don't want to see them taking deep shots over and over again, but I do want to see more deep shots down the field. One thing that Daniel Jones did unbelievably against the Broncos was that play action chunk yardage type of mentality. He sliced and diced in the play action, and a couple of those plays were for 25 plus yards. That's what I need. That is what I need. So take more deep shots down the field, but pick and choose your times to do so. Third, like I just said, lean on your offensive line. Rely on the most continuous? Take 2. This offensive line has a lot of continuity. Yes, exactly. English is my first language. Sometimes it doesn't appear so. You got to lean on the offensive line. This group is returning from 2024, playing almost every single game together. They clearly know how each other plays. Sean Payton relies on them. Bo Nix relies on them. The run game relies on them. They are one of your most cohesive units on this football team. It's okay to lean on them and say, we're trusting you to be the anchors, literally, of this offensive game plan. And then finally, number 4. This one's for Bo. Limit the costly turnovers. I get it. First game against the Tennessee Titans. First game back, you're under pressure, muddy pockets, trying to do too much, 2 interceptions, almost 3. Fine. Against the Colts, it was a lot cleaner. However, one bad throw at the wrong time. That interception was not a good time to be thrown. If you're going to throw an interception, I hope you don't, but if you are going to go throw an interception, make sure that it is not in opposing territory in either red zone. Make sure it's over the middle of the field and make sure it's early on in the game. And Bo, I'm not going to pretend has been great, but I thought you saw last week it got so much better than it was week 1. It was night and day difference. So that 82 quarterback rating, I expect to go way, way higher than originally anticipated. So I want Bo to show that this is his game to control. I need the offensive line to do its thing. And if you can limit the turnovers, rely on the offensive line, pick and choose your time to throw the ball down the field, and control the clock, you will win this football game. There are certain games where you can go out and flex the muscles, right? But there are certain games that you have to game manage. This is one of them. This is one of the games that you have to go out, manage it, come out with the win 17-13, and go 2-1 at the top of the AFC West. Before I get on out of here, victory vibes. Keep them going. Hit that thumbs up icon. If you want the Denver Broncos to win this football game, I need you to smash that thumbs up button. Because if you do that and the Broncos win, we start the streak all over again. Mile High, my friends, let's get ready for game day. Mile High salute to you. Be cool. We got a D, a B for L Broncos Unchained. Bang! Oh my God, dude. He says, Moose, just to double up, one sticker on the left and one sticker on the right. Yeah, he's got it. So I'll do Broncos Unchained on the left. I'll do Boss Man J on the right.
I like the sound of that.
We got 2 stickers already on that bad boy, and it only costs $20 to get your name on the helmet.
That's a lot more than $20.
Well, I know. I'm saying to get on the helmet, it's $20. Shout out Boss Man J. Unbelievable. Coming in with 2 $100 super chats. How about this? You ready to make a deal? Let's make a deal.
Oh, boy. All right, let's make a deal.
If we get to $300 on today's live show, a Patriots versus Broncos boot race, what do you say?
Deal.
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 I can show up the Broncos fans.
You can. You can. But you won't.
They do things different in Denver than they do in New England.
They certainly do. They certainly do.
It involves the other thing.
The other thing. Nice.
Not alcohol.
Lay off the weed. All right. Shout out to you, Boss Man Jay. You're an absolute legend. Speaking of, he gets featured a little bit in this next episode that we've got coming up because we were talking a little bit about some middle linebacker replacements that we could put in for the Denver Broncos because I'm not going to lie to you. As of right now, I do think the Broncos need to go out and target either a free agent or trade for somebody to solidify this middle linebacker room.
You want Jelani Tavai?
No. No, I don't want Jelani Tavai.
He had 100-something tackles last year, 107.
So did Alex Singleton. We don't listen. Here's why I say this. I don't want to get rid of Dre Greenlaw. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying we need to get rid of him yet. What I am saying is you sign someone to go on the practice squad because you're going to end up using Lavelle Bailey. You're going to have to call him up. So you need to sign somebody that can also be someone that in a pinch can come in and play and be something that stabilizes that room. I know Corene Reed can play. I know Lavelle Bailey can play. When Drew Sanders comes back, I know he can play as well. The problem is that we don't have time to wait. Does that make sense? We don't have time to wait until week 7 to go get a middle linebacker and risk being 4-3 or, God forbid, 4-4.
Yeah, Tavai is he's on short-term IR anyway.
Yeah, there you go. See, I don't need that. I don't need that.
Well, for long term.
All right, let's do this. Spam your DENs in the chat right now. Let's get this chat rate going up a little bit higher. We've only got 58 people rocking with us right now. I want to get back up to over 100. Spam your DENs right now. I'm giving shout-outs. Not one yet.
Come on, chat.
Boo, there it is.
There we go, Pops.
What's up, Pops?
Jolly good
There
show.
we go. Danny's getting in with the DB4Ls. RKM saying DEN.
Pops.
Let's get him going.
Come on.
Brendan, what's up, dude? Dave, good to see you. Got another Manning in the chat. Dave Manning. RKM. Brendan, den. I'm going to start spamming my DENs too. Keanu, what's up, dude? Get the DENs going in the chat. Segment 2 coming up when we're talking about linebacker replacements. Danny, I don't think I have ever once said that Bo is a top 5 quarterback. I think before the season started, I was asked this question where I legitimately thought Bo Nix was, and I said top 12. I said if I had to put him somewhere, if I had to put him in the top 10, he'd be number 10, and if I had to put him outside of it, I'd probably have him between 11 or 12. At 11 or 12, excuse me.
You don't want my opinion.
I know I don't want your opinion. Because it's wrong.
Drake May's better.
Yeah, right. You're so wrong. All right. While you guys are spamming that, let's get into our second segment. We're going to talk all about the middle linebacker replacements and guys that we could bring into Mile High to solidify this room. There's no time to waste when it comes to solidifying the Denver Broncos middle linebacker unit. So I have come up with some replacements, not supplantments. I'm not getting rid of anybody, but players that you could sign or players that you could trade for to help bring in and solidify the Denver Broncos linebacker room. Welcome in Broncos country to the Broncos Breakdown. On today's episode, it's exactly what I'm telling you. Why do we need some other middle linebacker help? Well, it's because 3 linebackers for the Denver Broncos are currently dealing with some serious injuries. Dre Greenlaw, who has not stepped foot on the field yet and hasn't practiced since July 31st. Drew Sanders, who was on short-term IR after getting injured during training camp, and Justin Stranad most recently, also with the foot injury, although Stranad's a little different. I think his is more precautionary because you clearly need him to play because the other guys are not available. Before I get into my replacements, we're almost there. We are this close to 41,000 subscribers here on the channel. Just 222 away. So if you want free Denver Broncos content, if you want to keep up with the latest news and rumors surrounding your favorite team, the only thing you got to do is hit that subscribe button. It's free. So I've been saying for months, by the way, not to, be the one that said I told you so. Because that's not what we do. But I have been saying for months, you need another linebacker. And the pushback was insane. No, we don't need another linebacker. Everybody's healthy right now. Singleton's healthy. Greenlaw is healthy. We've got Karene Reed. We've got Lavelle Bailey. We've got Drew Sanders. We're fine. Well, no, it turns out that we're not fine. So now here's what I'm saying to you. To help bring a solution to Mile High, the Broncos need to sign or trade for another inside linebacker. Even if you were to go with a guy like Drew Sanders, it's going to take him a couple of weeks to get back into playing shape. So we're talking about even if you didn't want to go out, if you wanted to use the guys that were currently on your roster, it would take a minute for those players to ramp back up. So let's go with the linebacker solutions. I've got 4 of them. Here's a face and a name that you remember. Josie Jewell, who was released by the Carolina Panthers on July 29th. And in 2024 for the Panthers, 97 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, and 2 fumble recoveries. I'm not going to pretend that Josey Jewell is the answer to our prayers, because he's not. But what does he offer? Well, a familiarity with the Denver Broncos. He played for them his entire career. And when he has been playing for the Denver Broncos, or when he was playing for the Broncos, he was a stat machine. 453 tackles, 21 for loss, 9 sacks, and 14 quarterback hits. He is a player that understands what it means to play for this organization. He would jump into Vance Joseph's defense, already knows what Joseph likes to do. He will be just fine as a player. And the reason you can go out and sign him is because when the Panthers released him, they designated him to come back onto their team, but so far he has made no interest or showed no interest in going back to playing for them. He's currently sitting on his couch right now, just waiting to get back to being healthy. And there's the other concern. He also has injury concerns. Most recently, it's a concussion. So, like I said, at this point, you're not going to go out and get players that are all pro caliber without giving up major trade compensation. Jewell is a player that you could sign for cheap, who granted has injury concerns, but understands the system, understands Vance Joseph, knows the city, and could plug and play immediately. So when it comes to a player like Jewell, I would say he's probably second or third on my list. Let's go to my next guy, Isaiah Simmons. I told you to keep an eye on this name when I started today's live show. But Isaiah Simmons offers something. And shout out to Boss Man Jay, who originally put me out onto this guy, because when he mentioned to me this name, I remembered the draft. I remember when he got drafted by the Cardinals, and I thought he was an athletic freak. And he is. Hasn't really materialized into his NFL career in terms of productivity. However, this is a guy that has elite traits. 329 tackles in 5 seasons. He was drafted 8th overall in the 2020 draft. So a first-round pick, and he was released recently by the Packers on roster cutdown day on August 26th. The reason I say Isaiah Simmons is because, one, he is an athletic freak. His traits are off the charts. And when you take a look at the kind of player that you're getting from a sheer mold perspective, he's got the speed, he's got the size, he's got the strength that you want in a middle linebacker. And if he's a player that you just put on the practice squad, that's totally fine. So here's what Panthers Wire had to say about it, because they targeted Isaiah Simmons. It just didn't materialize. But here's what Panthers Wire had to say about this guy. Wanting to tap into his athleticism, sporting a 4.39 second 40-yard dash, a 39-inch vertical in his 6'4", 238-pound frame is insane. The Packers used Simmons at linebacker through camp. He had 19 combined tackles and 2 tackles on special teams in preseason games, but struggled in pass coverage and couldn't find consistency when on the field. Well, we know now that the Green Bay Packers look like one of the best teams in the NFL, and it's not close. But like I said, time and time again, this dude is an athletic freak. A 4.39 40 at 238 pounds at 6'4". You can't teach that. And Vance Joseph has been known to want players that have that extreme athleticism. And I'm sure you're wondering, okay, we've heard about the traits. What about the productivity? What are the stats look like? Well, let's just go through the last 4 seasons. In 2024, it wasn't great. He was a rotational backer, so he only got on the field a limited amount of time, 21 tackles. So we have to go all the way back to 2022 when he still played for the Arizona Cardinals, when he was a starter. So 2022 was the last time that he was a full starter. 99 tackles, 5 for loss, 4 sacks, and 7 pass breakups. You mean to tell me this guy couldn't make a difference? You're fooling yourself. He is my first choice. This is a guy that could come in as a rotational linebacker for the Denver Broncos and notch 65 tackles, 3 for loss, a sack, maybe a sack and a half. Now, like I said, he's not perfect, right? He struggles in pass coverage. but I don't need him to be great in pass coverage. Can you solidify the middle of the field? Can you stop the run? Can you put pressure on the quarterback when we need you to put pressure on the quarterback? If so, you're my first choice. And if you want to come in on a veteran minimum, that's even better. Because right now, he's currently unemployed. I'm sure he'll take any opportunity he can, especially to play for the likes of Vance Joseph at Mile High. So would you sign Isaiah Simmons? S for sign, P for pass. Let me know in the comment section down below or in the live chat if you're watching during our live show. Coming up, I'm going to tell you my two other solutions for the Denver Broncos at middle linebacker while Dre Greenlaw struggles to get onto the field. But before I do that, I'm going to tell you about my friends over at Prize Picks. You and I we make decisions every single day, I should say. But on Prize Picks, you can actually get paid to be right. All you have to do is download the Prize Picks app, join millions of users, and sign up today. Very simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make sure your picks are turned into cash all season long on Prize Picks. How does it work? Just like this. I've got the combo lineup. Baseball and football. Matt Olson for baseball, and then I've got James Cook, Michael Penix, and Patty Mahomes on more than half a passing yard for my max discount play. All you got to do is download the Prize Picks app and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Here's a trade option that you could explore here. So this is obviously, out of all of the guys on this list, this is probably the best linebacker on the list, Tremaine Edmunds from the Chicago Bears. All right, gear up, because this is what I'm going to say about the Chicago Bears real quick. They're very much on their way to having themselves a fire sale. That team is a dumpster fire right now. Now, Tremaine Edmunds is a player that, when he was coming out of college, was touted as an all-pro or a future all-pro. He's fallen short of that mark, but I will say this. He is a player that has definitely earned himself a starting linebacker role every single season. He's good enough to be a starter. I wouldn't say that he's great enough to be an all-pro. But like I said, the Bears are on the verge of just blowing the whole thing up. They suck. They absolutely suck. They gave up 52 points to the the Detroit Lions on last Sunday, and that's just embarrassing. Anytime you give up 50 points to an NFL team, you should absolutely look in the mirror and ask yourself if you should be playing football. But let's go back to Tremaine Edmunds for a second. So far, throughout 2025, it's been kind of meh. 14 tackles, 1 for loss. He's just kind of that player that, does everything. He can set the edge a little bit, stop the run a little bit, go up against the pass a little bit. He does everything well, just nothing great, if that makes sense. Now, what are the pros of Tremaine Edmunds? Well, he's got unique size with long limbs and a rangy frame. He's got that rare, reactive athleticism that you want, so he's a very reactive and instinctive player when it comes to that type of stuff, and he is effective in coverage ability. There have been times where he's very, very good in pass coverage, but what is the con? Well, it's not every play. He's slow to diagnose those plays. He hasn't really lived up to the contract that the Bears gave him in terms of productivity and wins. Let's be honest, the Bears have sucked the last couple of seasons. And he's got these mental lapses in focus where he'll drop back in man coverage and he'll just get completely torched because he went the wrong way. It's just something that you watch on the film and it's where was he going with that? So when it comes to his football IQ, it's probably not the highest that you would look for. But outside of that, he's a very instinctive and reactive player and someone that if you did trade for, you wouldn't have to give up a ton, maybe a 5th or a 6th round pick. So Tremaine Edmunds is obviously something that you could trade for in order to jump in right next to an Alex Singleton if you needed to. And finally, let's go with someone that's already on our roster. Lavelle Bailey. I don't know about you guys. I've said it multiple times on this channel. I love Lavelle Bailey. I think this is one of the players that should have made the 53-man roster. I was so upset when he didn't. But he had a great preseason, and he's good in coverage. He might not be a guy that you blitz, but you don't need him to, right? You've got Jonathan Cooper. You've got Nick Bonito, Zach Allen, Jonah Ellis, Dondre Tillman, Q Robinson, Savion Jones. I could just keep going. All of those guys you can send on blitzes to get after the quarterback. Lavelle Bailey happens to be one of the best on the Broncos, even on the practice squad, as a coverage linebacker. It's what he was known for at Fresno State. So why not call him up, sign him to his contract, and let him just ride out the rest of the season on the 53? I think he's great. But the bottom line is, if it's not any of these four players, then fine. But you got to make a move. Because I can foresee what's happening right now. We're being told every week that Dre Greenlaw's injury and Drew Sanders is going to come back and where it's all going to be okay. But I can absolutely see that come week 7, Dre Greenlaw has still not set foot on the NFL field. And then it takes even longer when he does to get back into playing shape. So if you want the solution, you've got to get active, not reactive. Before we end today's episode, like I said, we're this close to 41,000 subscribers here on the channel. So make sure if you love Denver Broncos content, hit that sub button. Broncos Country, a reminder to also like the video. That is free as well. A mile-high salute to you. Be cool. Boom shakalaka.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Listen, Pinky's a fan of the show as well, and he shows up a lot. Stranad has been great this year. His first 2 games, he's been outstanding. Singleton did not play well against the Colts. I'll give you that. He played all right against the Titans. He played bad against the Colts. Stranad has been great. Stranad has been great this year. LFG.
Pinky says LFG.
Let's effing go. Let's effing go. Reminder that if you want in on the Denver Broncos sticker helmet, so we're going to give away and raffle off at the very end of the season that massive Denver Broncos helmet.
Let's see, does this fit?
If you want to get your name on that helmet, it costs just $20 to get in today. That's it. $20.
Oh, that fits.
That does fit. Look at that. Well done, producer Alper. Maybe Patriots fans are good for something.
Nothing.
Well,
we just root for our team.
You said that, not me. So it's going to look like this. We gave away the mini helmet. Shout out to Boss Man Jay who won that as well. But you could get your name on the actual replica-sized helmet. This is the very first one we're giving away on the channel. When that comes in, I'll make sure every time that we put a sticker on, we go live for it. So I'll put the sticker on with your name on it, and we'll fill it up. And once it's filled up, we will auction off that helmet. And by the way, if you get your name on it, you're automatically entered to win. $20. All right, we've got one more segment that we've got to get to today. We've already been on for 53 minutes, Mr. Producer Alper. So,
trade candidates?
Trade candidates. Let's get into some trade candidates. Not trade candidates that the Broncos could trade for. Denver Broncos players that they could trade. Glad
you guys have some because the Patriots, none.
Well, right now, the Denver Broncos, they're in a bit of a pickle with some of these players. And I've identified these players because they're talented enough to do something.
Actually, there's one trade candidate. And if you want him, you can have him.
I don't want him.
Keon White.
I don't want him. These 3 players that I've identified for the Broncos are talented enough to be good players, but not talented enough to be elite, if that makes sense. So they're good enough to be traded and get trade value out of, but I don't know what their long-term future looks like as members of the team, if that
Sounds
makes
like
sense.
Keon White with the Patriots. Very talented, but just does not fit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily about fit. It's more so like if the Broncos really want to prioritize making room in their cap, because some of these players are coming up on massive contracts. Spoiler, there's one of them. You should know who I'm talking about. And some of these players just like there's a lot of depth at that position. So it's almost like you don't need them if they're not elite, if that makes sense.
Pinky says, let's trade PS2 for 10 first-round picks.
Well, I mean, I would never. If you got 10 first-round picks
You're not allowed
for a
to do
lockdown,
that.
I know. But I'm saying, like, if we just, like, throw it up in the hypothetical for a second. There we go. Nice little neck crack there. All right, we got 62 people still watching with us. Let's get into our Denver Broncos trade candidates. Remember, $20 to get yourself on the helmet. Let's do it. It's about that time once again to give you some Denver Broncos trade candidates. I'm not talking about players that the Denver Broncos could trade for. I'm talking about 3 players the Broncos currently have that they could trade away to get more draft capital. Welcome in Broncos country to the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. Now, before I get into my 3 trade candidates, name a player that you would trade before the trade deadline. Because remember, once the trade deadline hits and that time is passed, you can no longer make any moves. So the time to trade players is before the trade deadline, which is November 5th or week 9 of the 2025 NFL season. Let's get into our first trade candidate. Probably the most obvious out of all of them, John Franklin Myers. I'm not going to lie to you. He has not been good in 2025. Had a great 2024 season. But 2025, he just kind of feels like he's a guy on the roster. In fact, did you know he's only got 1 tackle? Like, that's it. And if this continues, if this type of play continues, he won't have any trade market. So he needs to start playing better, not only if he wants his massive contract that he's been clamoring on social media for, but he absolutely needs to do it just to have a job. Like, nobody will trade for you if you end up playing as poorly as you're currently playing for the Denver Broncos right now. Excuse me. Lost my train of thought there. So let's talk about what John Franklin Myers' statistics look like right now. Because as of right now, like I said, he's only got 1 tackle. Well, he's got 0 tackles for loss. He's got 0 sacks, and he has got a PFF grade of 54.8 in 2 games played. This sucks. Period. It's just not good. And last year, we saw this guy get after the quarterback, stop the run, put pressure on opposing quarterbacks, break through offensive lines, and he just has not been nearly good enough so far. And shout out to my friend Bossman Jay as well, who has noticed this, and I kind of noticed it a little bit too when I was going back and watching the tape. There's plays he's just given up. Like, he just clearly shows like he just doesn't want to get in on every single play. And you could look at that and go, well, yeah, he wants to get paid. Well, you do know that in order to get paid, you got to go out and prove that you're worth getting paid. You can't go off of what you did in 2024. It's a what have you done for me lately league. He's still reporting that he wants $20 million per year. Well, not right now. You ain't getting that right now. Not with 1 tackle in 2 games. Hell, that might not even be worth $5 million a year. So my trade idea for John Franklin Myers would be, as of right now, there's only a bad team that would be interested in going for him. Because bad teams go after desperation attempts. The Carolina Panthers have shown this multiple times. So the Panthers, in my JFM trade idea, is John Franklin Myers goes to Carolina, and the Denver Broncos get a 2026 fifth-round pick. If you remember, the Broncos only traded away a 6th-round pick to the New York Jets in this year's draft for JFM. I think you could fleece out the Carolina Panthers for a 2026 fifth-round pick this year. So if that's the case, if this is the deal that's on the table, I send him off. I put the rookie in, Savion Jones. Let's see what he's got. And it makes sense for the Panthers as well. They've got $17.9 million in cap space. Their defense sucks. They've got no defensive line, and he's a big-time name. He's a name that you could end up going out and paying if you were to give him a contract extension at the end of the year. So let me ask you this question really quick. Would you make this trade if it was offered by the Carolina Panthers today? Yes or no? I would make it in a heartbeat. Absolutely. I think this is a very easy trade to make. And you're going to find that in this episode, I'm going to give you my trade ideas for every single player I have listed on this list. So JFM to the Panthers for a fifth. I make that deal. Let me know in the comment section down below. Let's go to our second one. Jaleel McLaughlin. I know. I don't want to trade Jaleel. He's Peyton's guy. We love Jaleel. Well, you guys know he hasn't had a carry yet, right? Tyler Bidet is your RB3, and he should be. He balled out, played way better than Jaleel did in the preseason. Jaleel was like your RB4 or RB5 in the preseason. There was only a couple of times when he came in as the RB3, and Bidet came in and played outstanding throughout the preseason. He earned the RB3 spot. So just take a look at the Broncos running back room. J.K. Dobbins is your clear number one right now, even over the likes of R.J. Harvey. Harvey comes in on specific packages as a lead back, but for the most part, it's J.K. Dobbins. So if Dobbins is your one, Harvey's your two, and Tyler Bidet is your RB3, it looks like Jaleel McLaughlin could be considered your emergency running back. Well, here's another point. The Broncos have Deuce Vaughn on the practice squad. So if you really needed somebody to be an emergency running back, why not make it a guy who plays a lot like Darren Sproles, a player that played for Sean Payton in New Orleans, who Payton loved? Fit that Joker mold that Peyton's always talking about. So if it comes down to who can be your RB4, that emergency running back, I think it's a pick and choose sort of deal. You also have to take into consideration there are a ton of other teams that are desperate for running back help. I'll just say it, the Chicago Bears. If for whatever reason Ryan Poles, the GM for the Chicago Bears, decides that he's in a buyer's market and wants to go out and get a running back, Jaleel could be an excellent addition to the Bears running back room. They've got DeAndre Swift and nobody else. So in my trade scenario, I've got Jaleel McLaughlin going to the Chicago Bears for a 2026 7th round pick. For a fourth string running back, you're not going to get anything higher than this. It's just the truth. And the fact that he's on the 53-man roster right now, you can't go and sign him off the practice squad. So unless the Broncos delegate him down there, he's stuck on the 53 not doing anything. The Bears would be the ones that I would have to call up and say, okay, we'll give you a 7th round pick. It might not even be a this year's 7th round pick. It might be a next year's 7th round pick. Either way, it makes sense for the Chicago Bears, both from a schematic standpoint and a financial standpoint. They got $9.7 million in cap space. Jaleel's only taken up about $1.2 million. It just makes sense for all parties involved. Now, before I get to my last trade candidate, which, by the way, you might consider a doozy. I'll just leave it at that. I'm going to tell you about my friends over at Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but at Prize Picks, you can actually get paid to be right. It's very simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. Join millions of users and sign up today. How does it work? Very easily put. Here is what my lineup looks like, comboed with professional baseball and football for this weekend. Your picks could look just like this if you're a glutton and you like to take the more like me, or if you like to go less and be a little bit more conservative. Just download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup with code CLNS. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Our final trade candidate, Riley Moss. Okay. Before you guys crucify me for listing Riley Moss as a trade candidate, you just got to hear me out. I believe there is a way that you could package this to make it make sense for everybody. So let's start with this. I think Riley Moss has shown enough this season to garner sticking as the Denver Broncos outside corner. He really has. He's played well. He got beat on a couple of really bad plays against the Colts. But for the most part, when you see the statistics, he's been very good. Here's why I say he is a trade candidate. You drafted Jahdae Barron, who can absolutely play the outside corner role. And you still have Chris Abrams-Drain, who had an unbelievable preseason. Somebody that I believe if you put him in, he could be just as good as Riley Moss. This depth for the Denver Broncos at corner is so great, you could absolutely move one player and never, ever miss a beat. And Riley Moss, like I said, from a statistical standpoint, has been great. 12 tackles, 3 PBUs already. No picks, but a coverage grade of 63.4, which is all right. It's pretty good. It's not great. It's not elite, but it's not bad either. Moss has an opposing QBR, or quarterback rating, of 75.4, which is outstanding. So when other quarterbacks are targeting Riley Moss, 75.4. That's ridiculously good. However, it was not just 3 weeks ago that another media member proposed a trade for Riley Moss and said this would make a lot of sense for one NFC team. Here's what they say. The Broncos have one of the NFL's better defenses and are loaded with talent at the cornerback position. The team could clear up roster space and add future assets by dealing Riley Moss, a 2023 third-round pick, to the Cowboys this offseason. I'll start by saying this before I get into why that makes sense for the Dallas Cowboys. You have to have talent to be considered a trade candidate. If a player wasn't good enough, you couldn't get traded for. That just doesn't make sense. If a player wasn't good enough, they'd just be cut. So you have to be a talented player in order to be considered tradable. Does that make sense? Good. I'm glad we're on the same page. Now, I'm not saying that Riley Moss has been bad. He's been pretty decent, pretty good. The problem is that you've got so much talent. You've got Jahdae Barron, who needs his shot. You got Jaquan McMillan you could put in the nickel corner. And you have Chris Abrams-Drain if you didn't want to do anything differently except get rid of Riley Moss, where he could plug him in, and he'd be just as good, in my opinion. So what does the Moss trade idea look like? Well, I don't know that the Cowboys would be able to give up a third because they don't have a third in the 2026 draft. But what they do have is a fourth and a sixth, which I believe could compensate for that third-round pick. So you get the fourth, which is one later, and they sweeten the pot a little bit by giving us a sixth-round pick. So 2 picks for Riley Moss, who was a third-round pick. And again, Riley Moss has been good, not great. You have the opportunity now, if you're the Denver Broncos, to really see what Jahdae Barron's got. You have the opportunity to see what Chris Abrams-Drain has. And you know what you've got in Jaquan McMillan. So you could put a different rotation of all 3 of those players and figure out the best rotation for the Denver Broncos. So let me ask you this question. You'll probably say K for keep. But if you think that this is a trade that you would make based off of everything that I just said, let me know in the comment section down below. T for trade or K for keep. I don't know that if the Cowboys came to me and said, we'll give you a fourth and a sixth, that I wouldn't consider it. I'm just posing up the hypothetical. All right. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. A reminder to hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Like the video if you haven't. And as always, Broncos country, be cool.
I don't think they like that.
They don't have to like it. Here's the thing. It is crazy to sit here and suggest that the Broncos are every single player is so good, they're not worth getting traded. Does that make sense?
Somewhat.
We said the same thing about Devon Vele, now on the Saints. Everybody was telling me that they'll never trade Devon Vele. He's too good. There's so much going for him. He's this player that Sean Payton loves. He produced amazing for being a 7th-round draft pick, and then boom. All of a sudden, the Saints come and they give a 4th and a 7th, and they said, here you go. Take him.
You can't say no to that.
My point is that if the Cowboys came to you with a 4th and a 6th, you've got Jahdae Barron, you've got Jaquan McMillan, and you've got Chris Abrams-Drain, all of which I believe can give you just as good production as Riley Moss. So if you were going to get 2 draft picks out of it with the same production on the field, why not?
Fair.
Pinky says trade Moss for Bland. Deron Bland is injured right now. That's the problem. That's why they need...
Didn't you just get extended?
They need corners, and their defense sucks. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So the Broncos wouldn't trade for him.
The Cowboys ain't trading him either.
No, they won't trade him, but they do need a lot of help because their draft pick, Savone Revel, is not playing, or he's not playing well, one of the two.
Bossman Jay says trade Moss and move KAD to quarterback 2.
Yeah, Bossman Jay has been a huge fan of Chris Abrams' drain for a long time, so that doesn't surprise me. But the way that I look at this is I say, if I can get something for a guy like Riley Moss, who has been good, not great, and I can still replace him with a guy like Jahdae Barron, who, by the way, you drafted a corner in the first round. You're expecting him to be better than Riley Moss. Can we all agree on that? Like, I'm not pulling this out of my ass. You know what I mean? Like,
No, you're not.
I feel like there's a lot of people that when they hear me say a player that is a starter you could trade for, everyone says, no, we can't do that.
We cannot do it.
Well, yes, you can. People do it all the time. I mean, hell, the Carolina Panthers traded away DJ Moore. Now, that wasn't smart at the time, but...
The Dallas Mavericks traded away Luka Doncic.
Okay, well, that was stupid. That was really dumb.
Was it?
Yes, very.
Was
He's
it?
unbelievable.
Was it?
Simmons is a free agent, so you would sign him. You can't trade for him. Oof. That hurts. Here, put it. Yeah, that's good. Keep that up there for a second. So let me know right now, all 54 people watching right now, would you trade for Riley Moss? Let me know. T for trade or K for keep. I want to read what you guys have to say because I'm very interested in this narrative. I told you guys I was coming out swinging today. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling good. All right, we'll wait another couple minutes for everybody to get their last-minute super chats in, and then we'll take off. Correct. Oh, did she really? Nice. See ya, Pops.
Peace, Pops.
Broncos Unchained. Bossman Jay says trade. We know that he does. I'm interested to hear why people want to keep him.
Nobody likes change.
True.
Dana
Very
says
true.
We are not in fire sale mode.
I don't think that's a fire sale mode kind of deal.
That wouldn't be
Fire
fire
sale
sale.
means they're ready to trade everybody. There's a lot of people that are saying trade. High Desert says trade. Pinky says trade. That's fine that you want to keep him. Ooh, Keanu says, for the inside linebacker target, do you think Dorian Williams from the Bills would be a good trade target for? No, I don't. The Bills' middle linebackers and safeties are so-so at best. I mean, I guess, look, at this point, anybody that can step in and be a player that, like, is really good, you know, that can really stabilize this this linebacker room, I'm fine with. I don't know enough about Dorian Williams, though. I'm not going to lie. Broncos Unchained says Moss trade for an inside linebacker. Moss is good but replaceable. We can also agree on this. There are only a handful of players in the NFL on every single team. Maybe on some teams it's one. On other teams it's 3 or 4 that they're untouchable. Nobody would trade them, right? They're all pros, locked up in contracts. Teams would never, ever take a call on. Everybody else in the entire NFL has a price tag. Everyone.
I think everybody has a price tag, no matter who the player is.
Well, true. Even like you said, Luka Doncic. Like, nobody thought he had a price tag, but clearly he did.
Everybody has a price tag. Now, they might be home run, Hail Mary type price tags.
Right.
Like, I'm pretty sure if the Chiefs got 5 first-round picks and 3 All-Stars, they can do it.
Yeah, of course. And I get it. There's a couple of There's a couple of people that are talking about Riley Moss's, size and physicality, and it's like, yeah, I told you he's good, but he's not great. 2 games in, which position group is our weakest, says Danny. Linebackers. Linebackers.
Same
it's not
here.
close.
Know
It's
that.
not close. It's linebackers. Well, correct. Pat Surtain is the best lockdown corner in the league. So, yeah, you wouldn't trade him ever. All right. We'll give you 1 more minute to get your last-minute Super Chats in. If you want your $20 sticker to get into the Broncos helmet raffle, all you have to do is send in $20 to get on. I've got a list of guys that are already on it. Bossman Jay's on it twice. Shout out to him for the 2 $100 Super Chats today. One more minute.
1 minute.
1 minute. And then we'll GTFO.
DB4L.
DB4L indeed. Denver Broncos for life. Oh, by the way, I do want to make one thing clear before we end today's show. There was one particular person that was I'm not going to call his name out, that was in the chat or in the comment section yesterday, who was giving me a lot of shit because I went on an emotional rant. And he was like, because I said I was pissed off about how bad the Broncos defense played against the Colts.
As you should be.
And I went out and I made this video about how Nick Bonito is playing outstanding. And this person said, oh, you were just shitting all over the defense just the other day, and now you flipped your script and are singing a different tune. And I said, yeah, the defense as a whole played horrible. Nick Bonito has been great. He's got more pressures than 3 NFL teams, like him himself.
He's been a dog.
So I went back to him and I said, I think you forget, I am also a fan. I am allowed to have emotional responses. If you want just a news reporter, go listen to the news.
Go listen to Zach Stevens.
Like I'm a fan. Like, I can be emotional about this team because I am a fan of this team. I want this team to succeed. So when the team does well, I'm going to be happy. When the team does bad, I'm going to be pissed. That's kind of how human emotions work.
Exactly.
Now, if it's all emotion and it's no analysts or analysis, then we've got a problem. If it's all analysis and no emotion, we've got a problem. That's why I try to find the blend.
Barcelona, Spain. Shout out Ruben.
Shout out Ruben. All right. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. Thank you guys so much for getting in on the chat today. We have got ourselves one hell of a matchup coming up on Sunday. I will see you in time for that Denver Broncos kickoff. Until next time, Broncos country, ra-da-da-da, be cool.